Christoph Nord's early years weren't marked by games or laughter, but by relentless drills and discipline, an environment that forged him into something harder and keener than most men would ever become. Born into East Germany, he was swept into the world of military service at an age where others were still learning how to ride their bikes. While other kids had textbooks and games, Christoph had orders and discipline, a gifted recruit who grew into a soldier before he could really truly become a man. He lived in the shadow even before he wore the title of agent, learning early that loyalty was negotiable and survival was the only fixed point. If his early years sounded cold, it's because they were. In Nord's world, warmth was a luxury, and luxuries were often liabilities. It wasn't long before those formative lessons caught the attention of forces larger than his immediate world. What began as a boy drilled into obedience became a man molded for the gray spaces between nations and causes. Even before he took the name Agent Zero, Christoph's early life read like a blueprint for a man who would become one of the most dangerous operatives alive, efficient, detached, and haunted by the knowledge that he never really had a childhood to lose. From his youth, Christoph developed a talent for combat that bordered on instinct. He was a master marksman with rifles and handguns, able to make precision shots under pressure. His hand-to-hand training made him efficient in close quarters, where speed and control mattered more than brute strength. Years of military conditioning sharpened his endurance and reflexes, allowing him to push through exhaustion where others would falter. Beyond the battlefield, Nord excelled in espionage. He spoke multiple languages with fluency and could slip into foreign roles with ease. His skill in infiltration was matched by his ability to disappear without a trace. Christoph's mutant power was primarily a defensive one. He had the ability to absorb kinetic energy from impacts and blunt force, which made him far more durable than an ordinary human. This power allowed him to survive hits that would incapacitate or kill others, giving him a significant edge in combat. In addition to that, he possessed a limited healing factor. While nowhere near as potent as Wolverine's, it gave him faster recovery from injuries and stamina to keep him fighting through wounds. Combined with his natural training, these abilities made him a resilient field operative who could endure situations that most agents simply could not. He studied tactics and strategy until they became second nature, giving him the foresight to outmaneuver both enemies and allies when necessary. These abilities made him not only a soldier, but a weapon crafted for missions where failure was never an option. Christoph first came into focus as a German operative working with American intelligence. He operated under the name Maverick, a codename that reflected his independence as much as his skill. During this time, he worked alongside the mutant strike team known as Team X, where he fought beside Wolverine and Sabretooth. Their missions often blurred the lines between heroism and brutality, and it was in these years that Nord earned his reputation as a lethal but reliable ally. Later on, his path crossed with the X-Men during conflicts that tied directly into Wolverine's past. Nord played both ally and adversary, with his work with shadowy agencies often placing him at odds with those who worked more openly heroic lives. His pragmaticism kept him alive, but it also isolated him. A man never fully trusted, yet always respected for his effectiveness. Eventually, his life took a darker turn when he was captured and transformed by Weapon X. Stripped of his identity and reshaped into Agent Zero, he became something colder than he had ever been. His mutant powers, once a tool for survival, were twisted for the program's purposes. Where Maverick had balanced loyalty with conscience, Agent Zero was designed to be an executioner. His missions from this point forward carried a level of ruthlessness that reflected not just his conditioning, but the scars of a man who had already lived too long in the shadows. After being remade into Agent Zero by Weapon X, Christoph carried out their missions with ruthless precision. His mutant powers were altered, now producing corrosive enzymes that kept wounds from healing and making him a far deadlier combatant. Where Maverick had been an independent agent, Agent Zero existed as a weapon shaped by the program's control. This period marked the loss of much of his humanity, though fragments of the man he had been still surfaced. His path remained closely tied to Wolverine. Old loyalties and betrayals surfaced whenever they crossed, reminding both men of their shared history with Team X. In his later years, his story continued as a cautionary thread within the broader mutant conflict. He became an emblem of Weapon X's reach and the personal cost of its experiment. Though he remained one of the most capable operatives in the field, his life closed on a somber note, remembered as much for his skill as for the tragedy of the man who had been reshaped into something he never chose to be. His story is neither simple heroism nor outright villainy. He began as a soldier shaped by discipline and ended as a man stripped of much of his identity. His life showed the cost of living in the shadows and the danger of letting others decide a person's worth. He wasn't a leader in the spotlight, but his presence revealed truths about loyalty, trust, and survival. Through him, readers saw how endurance could turn into detachment, and how easily humanity could be lost. The lesson of Agent Zero rests in the emptiness of power without choice. His abilities made him formidable, but the conditioning of Weapon X left him hollow. In rare moments of clarity, the man he once was would surface, hinting at what he might have achieved if he was free of manipulation. His story asks whether survival has meaning without freedom, and whether strength matters if it costs a soul. As a character, Agent Zero represents the darker side of the Marvel Universe. He stands as proof of the consequences of programs that view people as weapons rather than individuals. His importance is not in being a symbol of hope, but in serving as an example of what can be lost. Through Christoph, readers gained a figure who was neither a full hero nor a complete villain, but a tragic reminder of the moral weight behind every battle.